guys, it's Diane Flores here. I'm laughing because, you know, the wonderful world of the internet never ceases to amaze me. And this is take 2. So I'm here, Goddess Body Bootcamp, Venus Pole Fitness Studio, livingthegoddesslife.com. That's where you can find me and my tribe of goddesses. So if you are ready to learn one of my most favorite exercises, I've got it here for you in depth, lots of description, common mistakes, things I see, how to set it up for success. And I want to teach you how to do this. Now, some of you may be doing a slow eye roll, like, dude, I know how to do a squat. You don't need to tell me how to do a squat. However, you might find some little nuggets in this video that will help you increase either range of motion or you know, just getting a more effective squat overall, because I work with hundreds and hundreds of women over the course of, you know, lots of boot camps that we run in here and also online in my online programs. And I notice that this is one that comes up time and time and again, is a struggle with doing a proper squat. And going through this step by step, I want to show you how to make it incredibly effective, so that way you are armed with knowledge when you plan to do a workout or you go to the gym, and you know exactly how to do this properly. I see it wrong so many times, and I have a hair here that's driving me crazy. Okay, so first off, why do we want to do a squat, right? Squats are probably one of the most key exercises that you need in your arsenal if you are trying to improve several things. One is if you are trying to aim for fat loss. 2, if you are trying to increase or build strength or lean, sexy muscle. 3, for longevity's sake, right? Because as we age, we're still going to need to get up and off the toilet and up and out of chairs. How many of you have grandparents or know elderly people, and you see the struggle that they have with getting up and off the couch? I know I do. So one thing I want to really take for you to have to take home today is that you got to squat, okay? I know that a lot of us in our 20s, 30s, 40s are doing it for vanity reasons because we want that nice glute, our assets and our legs, but as we age, this is something we also need to think about, right? Getting up and off the couch and just being more mobile in general. So this is going to be one thing that you definitely want to keep in your arsenal of fitnessery for the rest of your life. Now, I'm going to teach you how to do it the right way, so that way you aren't experiencing a lot of some of the struggles that I see women do with like knee pain and hip pain and back pain and things like that. So here we go. Are you guys ready? First up, you want to set yourself up properly for a squat. So I'm going to give you a couple different angles. First off, you are going to want to, I know classic old school, I know when I got fitness certified, it was like feet right under your hip bones and like, you know, you're directly like really narrow stance squat. Well, that doesn't work for everybody, because when you do that, what tends to happen is you stop short here, right? You don't get a very full range of motion. So I'll take it to the side so you can kind of get a side angle. You know, you're going right about here. So when we go into a squat, our goal is to get our legs at a 90-degree angle. And when your feet are super narrow, you just can't do that. Your femur is only going to move so far up in your hip sockets, and that's not going to allow you to get into a full 90-degree angle. So you want to set your feet up right, and this is going to be different for everybody. It's going to take a little bit of experimenting and playing around with it and looking in the mirror and watching yourself squat. So the mirror, use it as feedback so you can look at your body and say, okay, my knees are doing weird things, my butt's not getting low enough, so that way you can really get a good effective squat. So you're going to want to take your feet, for starters, about shoulder width apart. Now for us ladies, I have broad shoulders, but a lot of women are petite and narrow. You want to take it out wider than your shoulders. Now this isn't to go, I don't know if you guys can see my feet here, I'm hoping I'm in the frame. This isn't to go into like a sumo or a plie stance. It's literally digging your heels into the ground about shoulder width apart and slightly flaring your toes out, okay? So they do not have to point forward. You can slightly flare them out just a little bit. And then you're going to want to make sure that your knees go along the same direction as your toes. So you're going to bend at the hips and push your butt back and let your knees go out. Okay, so that's going to be your setup. Now, play around with it. If it feels like you're too wide here and you're going into a plie, you're gonna wanna adjust, bring it back in, and work with it that way. So now from the side view, I'm gonna set up my stance. I'm gonna get into that comfortable heels, shoulder width distance apart, and you're gonna wanna sit your butt back. Now I see a lot of girls do this, okay? And that's one of my common mistakes that I'm gonna go over. So you're gonna wanna drop your butt. I want you to pretend that you're going to sit in your kindergarten chair at when you were back in kindergarten, or if you guys have children and you go and you like watch them at school, or you go help in the classroom and you gotta sit in those little baby ass chairs. I want you to imagine you're gonna sit into that little baby chair. Now that doesn't mean your butt goes there, right? Because you just fall backwards. So you're gonna sit low, get your body at that 90-degree angle, your knees tracking over your ankles, they're not over your toes, and your hips are back. So a nice straight line there, okay? And then come back up. Butt goes back. Now, what you also want to do is you want to make sure that you're not doing this one, okay? Because I see that a lot too, and that puts a lot of strain. I actually feel that right now in my low back. So you don't want to come down this way, even though your butt's getting back, your chest is dipping way forward. It's taking a lot of the work out of the key muscles that we're wanting to use there. So watch your chest. Make sure your chest isn't dipping forward. Now, common mistakes I see are feet are too close and not getting enough depth in your squat. So you want to make sure that you find that sweet spot for your feet. Again, not too wide. You should not be super wide in your stance. Number two, another thing that I notice, and this is if you feel like you are brand new to exercise and just starting out, this is another reason why I definitely want you to squat in front of a mirror so you can watch yourself. So for those ladies that are coming to the studio, don't be afraid of the mirror. I know a lot of us are like, oh, I don't want to see myself in the mirror. Use it as a tool. It's literally just to give you feedback on your form. So the other thing you want to do is watch. I see a lot of women when their knees cave in. So they'll go in for a squat and their knees do that, right? So knees are caving in. That's just indicating that there is a little bit of weakness going on between the adductors and the abductors. So you want to focus on strengthening those weak areas. And the way that you're going to do that is being conscious of that. Moving a little slower so that way you can make sure you're watching your form and forcing your knees out, okay? So there is a difference in forcing your knees out because this is too far out, right? So you're noticing your knees are caving in, you want them to track forward. So for those of you that are noticing you have weak adductors or abductors, you're gonna wanna just kind of press your knees out towards your baby pinky toes, okay? Not completely out and past them, but just in that general direction so that way you can get low into that squat and your knees aren't caving in. Now that is gonna also help for those of you that are feeling like you're experiencing knee pain when you squat. Okay, so watching the knee cave. The other thing is when your chest starts to dip forward, which I touched on a little bit too, is when you find your squat and everything is good from the hips down, right here, like your upright, proud chest, but then you start caving because you're getting lazy, right? I've done that one too. You start caving forward and your butt just barely goes back. So proud chest, pull your shoulder blades down your back, and if you need to, take your arms out in front of you and watch yourself at a side view, so find a mirror, and make sure that your arms aren't dipping forward and that you're staying nice and upright and not caving your chest forward. The other thing I've talked about too is your butt isn't going low enough. So if you want to really get the most bang for your buck in these squats, get your ass to the grass. Like it's got to get way down there. Now you don't want to rebound at the bottom. That's another mistake I see is girls aren't controlling their descent towards their kindergarten chair and they dump at the bottom. So you see that? That's like a cheat move. There's like a little rebound and it's actually really bad on your back as well. So control the down, control the up, and don't rebound and drop it like it's hot at the bottom, okay? So when we say like ass to the grass, it's like, you know, imagine you were out camping and you had to cop a squat somewhere. That's probably too low. You want to be somewhere between that and your kindergarten chair. So find that sweet spot so that way you aren't rebounding and bouncing at the bottom, but you're definitely getting in an effective squat. Now, the other thing you want to think about is not locking out your joints. So a lot of times I see girls go into their squat and they lock out their knees, right? So they push those, you know when you used to play Barbies back in the day? I use this reference a lot here because it just like resonates with me. And I used to love to like bend their legs backward. I don't know, I was like some weirdo, I'm probably a psychopath or something, but that's what I think of when I see women come up and they lock their knees out, and then they kind of go into this like anterior pelvic tilt, and their low back, you know, just kind of retches up in there. So when you go into your squat, come up, keep that tension in your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes, rather than dumping back into your knees and basically your low back joint, or your low back. So make sure you're keeping that tension without locking out your knees. So you're not coming up to 100% stand. It's just a slight bend in your knees and keeping everything nice and tight. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is mind to muscle connection. Now, when I first started working out, I didn't know what the hell that meant, and I thought, what is, like, I'm talking to my muscles, like, what is that? I don't even get that. So it's definitely one of those things that I've cultivated over the years, and I really try to coach that with women online in the studio to understand what your body is doing while you're doing it. Instead of mindlessly moving through exercises, use your time effectively. Like, I want to get you in and out of a workout in anywhere between like 25 to 45 minutes, and you want to use those minutes as effectively as you can. So that way you are reaping the benefits from your exercise. So with that in mind, try to really be in your body and really think about the muscles that are working. So in a squat, your primary movers are going to be some of the biggest muscles on your body. Your glutes are the biggest muscles on your body. So your booty cheeks, largest muscles, literally. So make sure you're focusing on your butt. The other ones are your quadriceps, which are going to be the front thigh. The other muscle is the hamstrings, which is going to be the back of your thigh. So these three muscles in conjunction, along with all the muscles of your hip girdle and your core, are working to move your ass up and down. So really focus on keeping everything nice and tight, slow and controlled, and thinking about your glutes, quads, hamstrings, core. So there's a lot going on there. Now, one thing, mind to muscle connection, is like I talked about in that rebound, when girls come down and they dump, there's no mind to muscle connection happening there. So when I see girls doing that, I know they've checked out of their brain and we're going for reps. So if you're a bouncer, if you're a booty twerker at the bottom, I know, okay, she's just trying to like muscle these out, and there's really no connection. So at this point, it's just joints moving and not a whole lot of muscle activity going on. So come down, you can still get nice, quick, fast, steady reps. Coming down and explode through your heels. So coming up and down super fast, but I want you to imagine you're trying to explode your heels through the ground, like stomping them through. And that's going to engage glutes, which I know a lot of us are really, really focused on building and sculpting and toning. So make sure when you're doing that, you're exploding through your heels, you're coming up, and you're not locking out at the top. The other thing is squats, which a lot of people don't realize are an amazing core stabilizer. They help with core stabilization, but they're also working your core like mad. Think about it. Your abs are working all day long because they hold you up. Otherwise, you'd be like this lumpy pile of goo running around, right? So your core is working. So you have to keep this engaged and tight. So bracing your abs, like I always give the analogy of, imagine you have a wet sponge in your stomach and you're trying to squeeze the water out, but you're still breathing. So keeping your core tight, coming down, and then coming back up, exploding through your heels. So keeping core tight. Other key thing, which I'm actually not doing a whole lot of right now because I'm talking so damn fast, is breathing. Okay? So make sure when you're squatting, you are breathing. So do not hold your breath. We want to get fresh oxygen into your lungs, pumping through your body, pumping through your legs to keep everything flowing. And utilizing your breath, especially when it becomes challenging. So, and this is in any exercise. So you want to exhale, so breathing out on the exertion part of the exercise. So the harder part of the exercise is where you want to blow your breath out. So I like to cue in. Inhale as you lower, so you're going to come down. Exhale, push. Inhale, push. Okay, so find that flow. It'll keep your breath nice and steady. It'll stop that whole like feeling of panic if you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel like I'm overworking here. So just getting in that fresh breath in, nice and steady, in through your nose, out through your mouth when you're pushing and exerting any force. So that's the up phase, so pushing up out of that squat. More importantly, last thing I want to cover is quality over quantity. So quality over quantity, meaning I am more impressed with clients who are in here doing the work correctly with good form. And if you do 10 versus the person next to you who does 30, who is dropping it and bounding at the bottom, their knees are caving and they're leaning forward. So make sure you're doing good quality squats over quick, fast, and mindless squats. So those are the two that you want to think about when you come in to do any exercise, is really quality over quantity. Now, as you get stronger, your quality improves, and therefore also your endurance, so you can afford to step it up a notch. So keep that in mind as you're progressing in your exercise. In the beginning, it's going to be slow. That is totally okay. Everybody starts there. And with time, you'll improve, it'll get better, it'll get easier, and you'll be able to then increase resistance, add things like dumbbells. I've got a rack of dumbbells here in the back, and play around with that. And the last thing I actually forgot to mention, but I don't want to forget to demonstrate for you guys, is if you feel like hip mobility is an issue when you squat and you feel like you have to go super wide or else you can't get low, one thing that you can do is you can add a little bit of a lift to your heels when you squat. And so I've got on the floor here, I've just got, like, these will work just fine. You can fold up a yoga mat if you need to, but I've just got some 2.5 or some 5-pound weight plates. And you can put these right underneath your heels. I don't know if any of you have ever seen like Olympic lifters, and they wear Olympic lifting shoes, and they have like a heel on them, and that helps improve their range of motion, so they can get lower in a squat, because for things like Olympic lifting, you have to hit a certain depth for your squats or powerlifting. So so you would put these right under your heels. So hopefully, let me adjust the camera a little bit. Hopefully you guys can see where I'm at. Is you want to put these, oh yeah, that might be a little bit too low. You want to put these right right under your heels, folks. Okay, so let's try it out. So you would put these right under your heels. Okay, you'd find your squat stance, and this is going to help you get into that 90-degree angle. If you struggle with getting low in your squats, this will help lift up and get you a little bit lower. So that is one extra bonus tip to take away. If you find that hip mobility is an issue, you struggle with getting low in your squats, definitely adding that. Like I said, you can just fold up a yoga mat, put that underneath your heels, and use that. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. I'm super stoked on Monday. Monday is May 1st, you guys. I know that a lot of you like to wait until a Monday or the beginning of a month to start a new routine and get back in the swing of things. So I have a 7-day lean and sexy rut buster challenge. So we're gonna bust you out of a rut, not to be confused with bust a nut, but we're gonna bust you out of a rut. And the 7-day challenge is 7 consecutive days. I'm going to show you exercises just like this, incredibly simple and straightforward, to the point, because we know that's what works. I'm certainly not going to have you balancing on a Bosu ball trying to press like a 45-pound barbell over your head, because that would be incredibly like nonsensical. So 7 days, lean and sexy rut buster challenge. I'm going to do body weighted stuff. There's no weights involved in this, but if you are an intermediate to advanced exerciser, you can add weights to it. So if you have dumbbells at home, this will work for you. And I also have a sensual dance workout in there, because I have a strong belief in like this amazing trifecta of fit, sexy, and confident, pulling together with strength, sweat, and sensuality. So I will have a sensual dance workout in there for you. It does not include pole work, so you can do this at home in the comfort of your own home, step-by-step video. And then I also have some sweat stuff in there. So you'll get a good sweat going. I also have some nutrition stuff. So the other stuff that makes everything tie in together. I have some nutrition workshops and a lot of other goodies along the way. And it's all gonna be hosted inside my private online Facebook community, the Goddess Body Project, which is always buzzing with excitement anytime we do a challenge. The girls are always in there posting, cheering each other on, and making sure we get through it together. So it is great, is taking you completely back to basics. I know there's a lot of information out there coming at you. Should I do this? Should I do that? You know, all these really complex things, and it's just literally taking you back to basics. And I want you to tune everything else out and just start back from ground zero and work yourself back up. It is definitely, like I said, for all levels, but is surely beginner specific in terms of it's body weighted, and I do a lot of modifications. I have a modification offering video in there, so if you need to switch it up, I do not want anyone to feel defeated. I want everybody to be able to do it to the best of their ability. So that is going to be in there as well. Incredibly simple startup tools. I'll email you every single day to keep you on track and make sure that you're focused and ready for the next day's challenge. And bottom line is, you're with like-minded people, so you have this community inside the Facebook group where everybody is doing it together, which can sometimes be hard in life, right? Like, you get started working out, and then maybe your family isn't on board, or your friends don't really live that lifestyle, and you sort of feel like you're floating out there alone, or you're going to the gym and you're just kind of doing your own thing by yourself, and you really don't know anybody, and you're just sort of doing your own thing. It feels really good to be in a group with women who are on the same mission as you, that have the same interests and desires as you, and that you will find inside of my community. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful. Let me know if it was, or if it wasn't, or if it was a big thumbs up, thumbs down. I'd love to know. What other exercise tutorials do you need some help on? Don't be shy. Let me know. I will be back on live probably over the next couple days, giving you some more tips and hints on form, because it's incredibly important to reap the benefits of your exercise. So, okay, you guys. Well, thanks for joining me. Have a beautiful day.